Hello, welcome back to the garden. This for me is my first time in the garden this year. It's the 4th of January and I'm so pleased to be back out in the garden. I hope you've had a great time over kind of the Christmas period, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I hope you've had a really good amount of downtime and you, like me, are feeling really enthusiastic to hit the ground running for the new year. I don't know if you've got any gardening goals, but for me, my gardening goal is to stop overthinking things and just get on and do. Probably over my entire lifetime, I've always been somebody that worries about failing and doesn't want to do a task in case I fail or in case I don't have the skills to actually do that. But one thing that I've learned over the last couple of years is that life is really short, and if you don't try it, you are always going to fail because you're never going to achieve that goal that you want. So for me this year, it's all about getting on and doing stuff. Whether I have those skills or not, I can try, and if I fail, I can then go and actually learn how to do it. Since I've had this garden for about 5 years now, I've actually feel like I haven't really actually achieved that much. But when I kind of look back at the garden from when we first moved here, I have achieved loads. But because the last year I was focused on other things in life, I've not been able to do as much. And I'm a strong believer in that, you are only as good as your last growing season. And for me, I didn't really dedicate any time to my garden or my allotment last year, so I didn't really get anywhere. But this year is going to be a whole different story. What I've decided to do is to actually spend time getting on with jobs that need to get done in the garden and bringing you along. So rather than spending so much time worrying about the content that I need to make on YouTube, like everything has to be a how-to video, everything has to be content that people are going to want to watch, I'm throwing that out of the window basically, and I'm going to start back making weekly videos where I bring you along doing the tasks that I'm up to that week. Whether or not it gives you inspiration or whether it means you can watch what I'm up to and give me advice on what I'm doing, I don't really care. What I want to do is just to get back doing what I love. I moved to Wales to have a quieter life and to grow vegetables for my family and to create the life that I wanted. Over the last year, 2 years, that focus has been taken away on other things, and it's time that I just chuck that all out and get started again. So, sorry, probably a little bit preachy, but I would love to hear what your goals for the new year are, what your goals are in life or in your garden. I would absolutely love to hear it, because maybe there's a few ideas I can take from you there. The first thing I'm going to do though is to put some new batteries in my Bluetooth thermometer for the greenhouse, because last year I found this really useful. I think it cost about £10 on Amazon, and it means when I'm inside I can get a good idea from the app on my phone what the temperature's like in here. And I've just put new batteries in it and it's telling me it's about 15 degrees. Possibly I've had this in my hand for a little while, so that might be why it's so warm. But the really good thing about this is that I can actually draw off a Excel spreadsheet of every single day, while the batteries were in it, every single day over the last 2 or 3 years. So it's a really good idea to be able to have something like this where I can then look at kind of different years and how hot it was. You've probably already got a thermometer for your greenhouse, but I just really like this one, especially because I can draw off all the stats. Not that I really know what I would do with those stats, but it's pretty cool. So if you are interested, I'll put a link to this down below in the description. But yeah, I find it really handy to have, and it's kind of especially good for that springtime when you're not really sure if it's warm enough to put things out and stuff like that. This greenhouse, for instance, does have quite a few little gaps. It's not 100% level, so it probably does get a bit colder in here than it would if you had a completely sealed and insulated greenhouse. But anyway, that is enough of me going on. Today I'm really excited because I have been out and about shopping this morning, getting my seed potatoes and some onions. One of the most exciting things for me every single year is buying my seed potatoes. I've probably bought them a little bit earlier than usual, but I just kind of had to immerse myself in some garden centre action today. So this morning I popped to Wilko. So in the UK, it's a shop, it's like a hardware shop that sells all different types of things. And I knew that they had some of their seed potatoes in. Now, it's at that time of year now where they're kind of getting rid of all their Christmas stock, and where their Christmas stock was, you know, all decorations, trees and things, that is what then is all the gardening stuff. So when I looked around this morning, they had quite a lot of stuff, but they still had quite a lot of empty shelves and things like that. I was hoping to pick up some garlic, but they didn't have any garlic. But when I've chatted to Liz this morning, she's got a load of garlic, so I'm able next week to go and pick some of that up. But what I've decided to do this year when I've picked up my seed potatoes is to slightly change the varieties of potatoes that I'm going to be growing this year. Again, with the whole like just getting on and doing things, I've always kind of stuck to the same variety of potatoes every year because I know they work for me and, you know, I know what they're like. This year I've decided that I am going to slightly change it up. And that is that I'm not going to be planting main crop potatoes this year. I'm just going to be sticking to my first earlies and my second earlies. So the varieties that I've gone with this morning is Swift. Swift is a first early potato, and I think it's one of the earliest potatoes. I think it's something like grows anywhere between 10 and 12 weeks. I've not grown this variety of potato before. Usually the variety that I would grow as a first early is Rocket. Rocket grow pretty well for me, but I thought I'd give Swift a go this year and see how it compares with the harvests that I've had previously with Rocket. If they're not as good, maybe I'll go back to Rocket next year, but I thought I'd give that a go. The second lot of potatoes that I've gone for today are Vila, or Wilshire. I think they're spelled Wilshire, but I think that's pronounced Vila. And they are a second early potato that I've grown loads of times before, but that is a firm favourite in my family, and we always eat every single potato that I manage to grow. So I've gone for another one of those this year. And then the third one, which I actually can't remember what I picked up, I've just realised the second variety of potato is Vila as well. So by accident, I've only just realised I have bought two lots of the same potato. Whoops. I thought I'd gone for a different variety actually. So, well, there you go. I'm not actually going to be growing a different variety of potato. I'm just going to be growing two of the same and that one there. So, whoops. I should have actually checked that, shouldn't I, before I filmed this, but never mind. And then I've also gone for some onion sets today. And this variety is, I think it is, Sturon. Never grown this variety before. And usually I would actually get my garlic and my onions in the ground in kind of October time. But one thing I haven't told you is that I have given up my allotment. I wanted to give up my allotment for a very long time, okay? So if you are familiar with my channel, you may notice that I've not done any videos at my allotment for about 6 months. And that is because I've been in the process of leaving the allotment since then, pretty much. And I didn't want to say anything until I'd officially given it back. But I would usually have my onions and my garlic already growing in the ground in kind of the first day of autumn. But I haven't done that this year. I have absolutely nowhere in my garden to put these in the ground. So I'm going to be starting these off today in modules, and then over the next couple of weeks I am going to work out where these are going to go. So let's turn the camera around, get these put in some seed trays now, and then we can kind of have a little talk about where I'm hopefully going to be growing these, but it's not ready yet. So I've got these module seed trays that have got nothing in at the moment, so that's what I'm going to use to start these off. I just need to get some compost. The compost that I'm going to be using this kind of batch, or this time, is one that I picked up this morning from Dobby's. It's their own brand of a peat-free compost, so not used it before. Hopefully it's okay. Usually I use the Horizon compost, which to be honest looks pretty similar to this. I've not actually looked on the bag to see what is actually in here, but since it's just for starting off my vegetables, hopefully it's going to be okay. It is quite a bit cheaper though, so yeah, it's worth giving it a go, and especially because these aren't actually going to be in here very long. So I'm just using these little seed cells that I've got. They're quite a good size, I think, to put the onions in. And I've got 3 of those. I can't remember how many are in here, but hopefully it's going to be enough for the onions that I've got. Let me know how you start your onions off. Do you put them straight in the ground like I'd usually do? Do you do them in modules like this? Also, do you grow them in the spring or do you grow them in the autumn? One year I would really love to be successful with growing them from seeds. Growing them from seeds is obviously a lot harder because they don't come like this, but you get a better variety of onion types or varieties that you can grow. Some are like really big, some have better flavours and stuff like that, but I find I always get them to germinate really well from seed, but then it all just goes to pot really, and they never become big enough. So sometimes it is good to stick with what you know, isn't it? So if you've not grown onion sets before, you've got the root there and you've got the tip there, so you just need to make sure that they get put in root down, or the basal plate is what it's actually called. As I mentioned, I don't have anywhere at the moment where these are going to go, but I think this year, as I work on my vegetable patch right at the top of the garden, I have shown it in videos before, it was a completely overgrown area of my garden. There was an oak tree there that was growing kind of on its side, wasn't very safe, and the whole area was covered in brambles. That has been cleared now, but it's a long way off in a position to take anything to grow in the ground, and over the summer it got a little bit overgrown again, to be honest. So I would love to say that these are all going to be growing up there in about 2 months time, but I'm not sure they are this year. So I think this probably is going to be the year of growing vegetables dotted around in flower beds all over the garden. I did try growing onion sets in my polytunnel over winter last year, and unfortunately I had really poor results. Whether it was lack of water, lack of light, well, it was probably lack of light, to be honest, but yeah, it wasn't very good. So maybe I will have a small area that I can plant some of these in and see how they do growing in the spring. So since I've been out here for about, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes since I started this video and put new batteries in my thermometer, it's now saying 13.3 or 13.4 degrees centigrade. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what the temperatures over the next week in here are. We had a really cold spell about a month ago where it was absolutely freezing. We were getting frost every single night, but it's much more milder this last couple of weeks now. So it'd be interesting to see what temperatures I get over the next week or so in the greenhouse. Let me know what your temperatures are like in your greenhouse. It's a shame really, because it was so cold a couple of months ago, or you know, a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't have any batteries in there, so it'd have been interesting to see how cold it actually got. just going to do half a tray now because I don't think I've got enough of the sets left to do a whole tray. I've actually decided to plant every single set that was in the pack, so some of these are pretty small and some are much bigger. I know, you know, you can go through them all and just check for the plumpest, nicest looking ones, but I've got the room, I might as well just put them all in and hope for the best. So I'm just going to leave the onions in this raised bed here so they can start growing. I've got nothing else growing in this bed at the moment, so perfect place for them to go. I can't believe that I actually bought 2 packs of the same variety this morning at the shop. But I did say just before I realised that we do really love these potatoes. But I think what I'm going to do is trade them with Liz or something. She's going to be giving me some garlic next week. So I think in return she can have a pack of potatoes. And maybe I will go and pick up another variety of first or second earlies. I'm sure I'm going to be going to the garden centre again. But actually, as I do want to grow another variety, let me know if you've got a variety of first or second early potatoes that you can recommend, because I'm definitely open to ideas along the way. Now, I don't know if you can see behind me in the background, but you can probably see there's quite a few pots and bits and pieces. There's a pot that's on its side with a tree that was growing inside it, but my garden got broken into by the farmers' pigs and they did a load of damage in the garden. So I think the next video that I'm going to be doing is a week in the garden. I've got millions of tasks that I need to be getting on with, so hopefully going forward over the next year I'm going to be able to release 1 video a week showing you all of the things that I've been getting up to that week. As I said, this for me hopefully is a year of getting jobs done, not being frightened to have a go at doing stuff, and I really hope that I can just continue with that this year. Anyway, that's enough for me going on this week. It's the first week of January. I really hope that you are focused and excited for the next growing season, and I will catch up with you in the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.